Hello, I'm Wes Turnbull and welcome to Freemasons The Inside Story. In this episode we meet the new Deputy Grand Master, Don Reynolds, and Ben Quick is back with another Masonic Melbourne. All that and more on Freemasons The Inside Story. Today I'm with new Deputy Grand Master of Freemasons Victoria, Don Reynolds, and his partner Maya Grayley. Welcome.
Thank you, Wes.
Don, an opportunity to get to know about your Masonic journey. When did you first become a Freemason?
Late 70s, Wes. 1978 I joined Freemasonry. I joined in Colac, down in the west of Victoria. I was initiated by my father, and he obviously proposed me.
So how did you hear about the organisation? Your father obviously being a member, you'd been introduced to it as a child?
Yeah, I was aware of the organisation in my early childhood, but probably became more aware of it in my early teens. We had many people through our house who were Freemason, their families. I used to go down and assist Dad in setting up the lodge rooms. When they would have a meeting, and so I got a feel for it in early days. And Dad was a bit progressive. He was happy to talk about it. He would take me into the lodge room. We'd set it up. He'd explain some of the symbolism that was there. So I got a feel for it, probably more so in my early teens.
And what was your impression of the organisation in those days?
I can still remember Wes on many occasions questioning my dad. I could not understand why I couldn't join when I was 15 or 16. It eluded me because I was so involved in what was going on. A lot of the people that came through, they were good men, and you could see that, and I just wanted to be part of that.
And then you moved from Colac to Melbourne, and yet remained a member of the lodge in Colac. Why was that?
It seemed to me that it was the right thing to do. They were family. I knew the members down there. I knew their families. It just seemed like a good fit to belong to Colac Lodge of St John.
Maya, turning to you, you also had exposure to Freemasonry fairly early on. How did that come about?
My grandfather was a Freemason, and of course in those days, well, when I was a little girl, he wouldn't say anything. It was absolutely hush hush. We weren't told anything. I actually recall in his later years, I'd call into the dining room, and I'd see my pop there with his polished shoes and a smart jacket and tie, and he looked such a gentleman. He really looked so polished and respectful. And having met Don and learned more about Freemasonry, I can see that some of his good qualities have probably developed, through Freemasonry.
Now, when you met Don, how did he introduce you to Freemasonry as we know it today?
Don introduced me to this fabulous bunch of guys, and a lot of them are very, very close friends now. We've got a wonderful friend base through Freemasonry, and we've had fabulous opportunities to travel with friends and all that sort of stuff, yeah.
So how did you find the contrast between the Freemasonry that your grandfather seemed shy to speak about and Freemasonry as you discovered it today?
Well, of course, it wasn't discussed with my grandfather at all, whereas now it's becoming very open. We can talk about it, people are interested in it. When I'm at work with my clients, I often tell them stories of where I've been and what I'm doing, and they all want to go out with a man in tails and go to lovely places that I go to. I'm always, popping off to functions here and there, and they'd love to have the opportunity to dress up like I do.
So Maya, what do you see as your role as Don's partner within Freemasonry?
I see myself as probably being able to relate to the younger girls. They're often interested in what I'm doing and what it's all about, and with that interest, I think I can be a bit more of an ambassador from the women's side.
Don, back to you and the family connection. Your father obviously had a profound influence on your life. Would you say that is the case?
Yes, absolutely, Wes. I mean, Dad's been now gone some 27 years, and certainly there's not a day goes by that I don't think about him. But he was such a gentleman, and I think a lot of that came from his involvement in Freemasonry, from the teachings of Freemasonry. Coming from a small country town, you get involved in pretty much everything, and Freemasonry was part of that. He was well respected in the town, and certainly I respected him, not only as a Freemason, but of course as my dad.
Are they qualities and characteristics that you've found within Freemasonry and that you've been able to adopt yourself through your Masonic involvement?
Yes, I think so. I believe that people in Freemasonry just have an edge, and whether that's our teaching, whether that's our ritual, whether that's what we portray out there in the public, I think there is an edge. You can always tell a Freemason, I think, or I'd like to think so anyway. So yes, I think those qualities run through the whole of the organisation.
How would you define the influence that the organisation has had on your life, given what you've just said?
Oh, well, as I said, I go back to my early teens, and I knew that there were changes in my life back then. Certainly my dad's influence as well, but Freemasonry has given me a great friend base. It's given me an understanding of moral teachings, if you like, and our ritual certainly portrays or tries to make good men better, and I believe that I've probably achieved that.
So qualities that you remember from your father that are just as relevant today and carried into the future?
Yes, I think they're timeless qualities, Wes. I don't believe that what we were teaching in the 50s or 60s or probably 125 years ago in this jurisdiction has changed. I still think there's good teachings in the organisation, and I think they're as relevant today as they ever have been.
And what do you see for the future, and of the position that you have? What are you able to bring to the organisation to help mould that?
I think the most immediate situation that I see is that I am a support to our Grand Master. My role in the next 2 years is obviously to gain an appreciation of many areas within Freemasonry, so that when I take on the top job, that I'm ready for it. What I see for the future for Freemasonry, and when you consider that at the moment we've got better than 50% reduction in resignations, we have better than 50% increase in people coming through the front door. So I'm guessing more of the same would be pretty good. And I think that's the message that we're getting over, is to make your lodge exciting, to make it a place where people want to come, where men want to come and be. And I think that that message is finally getting through.
Well, it sounds like a lot of work ahead, and we wish you well for the future. Thank you for speaking to us today.
Thank you, Wes.
I'm Justin White. I'm here today with Most Worshipful Brother Hillel Benedykt, Grand Master of Freemasons Victoria. Hillel, welcome.
Thanks, Justin.
Hillel, we're here today at the Victoria Police Academy in the Police Chapel, and we're here to talk about the relationship with Blue Ribbon Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about the connection and how it ties in with our principles and values?
Through a few of our members that were involved with the Victorian Police, we got invited to a number of the Blue Ribbon Foundation functions over the years. And we were sitting at one sometime last year. I was with the Grand Secretary at the time, and we just couldn't help but notice how many similarities there were in both the principles, beliefs, and what Blue Ribbon was doing for the community, that we thought we must find a way to work together.
And the synergies that exist, especially in the community, can you tell us a little bit about the task force and how there's a tie-in with Blue Ribbon in the communities?
Well, we have a district coordination system that basically reaches every regional area in Victoria, and Blue Ribbon also wants to do various activities in the regional area, so we're able to provide hands and feet for them to engage with the community at a local level, where they've got the police in the community but they're not sure necessarily how to engage the rest of the community. And we've got Freemasons in the community looking for projects to engage with, so it's just a natural fit.
Hillel, thank you very much for your time today. It's been great.
I'm very excited about our relationship with the Blue Ribbon Foundation and look forward to the future very much.
Thank you.
I'm here with Mr. Bill Noonan, Chairman of the Blue Ribbon Foundation, to talk about their association as well as how it relates to Freemasons Victoria. Thanks for your time today, Bill. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about how the Blue Ribbon Foundation got started.
Well, Hillel, was really a matter of 1988 after the police murders, when a group of concerned people came together because they wanted to, I guess, push back against the horrendous violence that had been instigated on police through the Tyne and Eyre murders and the Angela Taylor Russell Street bombing. Virtually grown from there, a community movement supported by the police, intrinsically linked, I suppose, with police, but something that's now been going for 25 years.
And what sort of things does the Blue Ribbon Foundation do?
Well, basically our role in life is to ensure that police who are killed in the line of duty aren't forgotten. So we're into creating living memorials for them in public hospitals right across the state of Victoria. We have a number of memorials in places like the Royal Melbourne Hospital, Alfred Hospital, Monash Medical Centre, and of course we have 14 regional branches, which takes in the west of Western Health, places like Footscray Hospital. So each and every one of them is dedicated in some way to a policeman who has been killed in the line of duty.
Where do you see the foundation going moving forward?
Well, it's been evolving now for 25 years, and I think this sort of collaboration that we're looking at with the Freemasons is an area that I think will strongly evolve. Certainly we are developing more and more community support. I indicated before we have 14 regional branches, and in places like Ararat and Bendigo and Ballarat, which is reforming after a number of years being quiet. It's a matter of an ongoing activity that we see great promise for, given our Chief Commissioner being the patron and the great support from Police Command and the tremendous corporate support we get to add to that community support. So I think there's a lot to look forward to with the foundation. And indeed, one of the things we are doing at the moment is we're going through a strategy and governance review, because we want to be as good as we can be and do the work that's really needed in this space, as well as people would expect it to be.
And how do you see the relationship between Blue Ribbon Foundation and Freemasons Victoria?
Well, I think it's got some real opportunity, I think, for both organisations. I mean, we are organisations, I think, with similar ideals. We're organisations that want to serve the community, I think particularly in the health space. I think many members of the police force are Freemasons. And I think Freemasons as an organisation have a very good corporate name, if I can use that as an expression. So I think there's great synergies that we could use to develop those medical facilities in hospitals. And as you know, our relationship is very much at an embryo stage, and I think as we work together, we will be able to identify really valuable activities, and that not only in the metropolitan area of Melbourne, but certainly in regional Victoria.
Bill, as Grand Master of Freemasons Victoria, I must admit I'm very excited about the association with the Blue Ribbon Foundation, and I trust we accomplish a lot for the community moving forward, and I just want to thank you once again for your time today.
Thank you very much, Hillel.
Welcome to Smith Street, Collingwood, named after Freemason John Thomas Smith. John Smith was the son of a Scottish shoemaker. He came to Melbourne from Sydney in 1837 as a school teacher and was appointed an assistant at the Aboriginal Mission. He was not a teacher for long, trying his hand at a number of businesses before becoming a licensed publican. He owned 2 hotels and became patron of the arts when he opened Melbourne's first theatre. John Smith was elected to council in 1842 and became Mayor of Melbourne in 1852. His term as Mayor was so successful, he was voted Mayor a further 7 occasions. His life in Freemasonry started in 1840, when he was initiated in the Australia Felix Lodge. It is written that John Smith became quickly interested in Freemasonry and, although young in the organisation, suggested a number of possible improvements. He went from strength to strength, and in 1856 he was appointed the first Provincial Grand Master of the Irish Constitution in Victoria, an office he held until his death in 1879. Smith Street, which divides Collingwood and Fitzroy, is named after him, and it is appropriate that at one end it finishes opposite the Masonic Centre of Victoria.
Within Freemasonry, there are a number of different levels, also known as degrees. Some of these are organised into their own distinct order within the Masonic structure. Each has its own distinct lesson and imparts its own message in a particular way. Within Victoria, many of these orders are represented. Amongst the largest of them are the Mark and Chapter. Earlier this year, Ben Quick caught up with the leaders of the 3 biggest Masonic orders in Victoria: the leader of the Mark, John Leesegang, leader of the Chapter, Graham O'Donnell, and the then Grand Master of Freemasons Victoria, Bob Jones.
Bob, can I start with you? In previous episodes of Freemasons The Inside Story, we've spoken about degrees. And today we've brought into the discussion 2 new degrees, or 2 new people to Freemasons Victoria. Can you explain what the first 3 degrees mean to a Freemason and someone thinking about Freemasonry?
Well, Ben, the 3 degrees in craft masonry are a man's journey from beginning to end, and the explanation of that journey. With the Mark and the Chapter, they're virtually extensions of those, a more in-depth study of those parts of the ritual that we use in those first 3 steps in Freemasonry.
John, the 4th step.
Well, Mark Masonry is more connected with the operative part of stone masonry, historically speaking. The fellow craft degree, the 2nd degree in craft masonry, is connected with what we call the Mark Man, and the Master Mason in craft masonry is connected with the Mark Master.
And so, John, I should ask you, what is a mark, or what is the symbol of the mark?
Well, as I was referring to, those operative masons, whether they're Mark Men or Mark Masters, in their work they produced stones for the building of King Solomon's Temple. And of course, in more latter days and more latter centuries, they produced stones for the building of the great cathedrals and churches of Europe and the UK. In doing so, they were given, as a mark man, a mark which was their own mark, which could be placed on a stone to identify that they were the person or persons who produced the stone.
And Graham, tell us about Royal Arch Freemasonry. We've spoken with John about the 4th step. Is it the 5th step? Is it the complete step?
Well, from my point of view, I don't think it should be called a 5th step. I think it's the completion of the 3rd degree that we have all been through as Freemasons.
So is a Freemason complete after the 3rd degree, Graham, or would you say he's complete after the Royal Arch degree or teachings?
Some would say that it's complete after the 3rd degree. In my belief, because the Constitution says there are 5 degrees in Freemasonry, I believe that the completion of both the Mark and the Chapter degrees makes you a complete Freemason.
I should ask this question openly. What do these 5 degrees each mean to you?
Well, I think, as Graham so ably put it, that there are 3 degrees, 3 basic steps in craft Freemasonry, and then the other 2, the Mark and the Chapter, build on the story, if you like, of those 3 degrees.
And John, how do you feel about new members joining Mark Masonry? Are they taken to a different experience in Mark Masonry as opposed to what we call craft Freemasonry?
Yes, there are many direct and indirect references in craft masonry ritual that point to the Mark degree, and sometimes these are overlooked. But the ritual of the Mark degree concentrates on operative masonry. The drama that is enacted out teaches the brethren the patience and perseverance required in operative masonry, and refers also to matters of integrity and justice, so that these are part of the teachings of the degree and complete that fellow craft and master mason teaching that goes on in the craft.
Graham, I should ask you, what does your degree teach?
I think that our degree probably is more spiritual and helps us to build an inner temple and to become a better person.
And Bob, with these combined degrees and the 3 degrees of Freemasonry, what type of teaching all round does it represent to an individual?
I think the basic belief of taking a good man and making him better is the basis of all our Masonic teachings.
Bob, is it necessary to be a Mark Master Mason and a chapter Mason, or can you just be a craft Freemason or a member of Freemasons Victoria?
I'd like to see every Freemason complete his 3 degrees and then, as time allows, to go on and do the Mark and chapter, because it does complete the picture for them.
Well, Bob, John and Graham, thank you very much for your time and being with us on Freemasons The Inside Story.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks for joining us. To find out more about Freemasonry, visit the Freemasons Victoria website at www.freemasonsvic.net.au or phone us on 1800 Freemason. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Flickr, LinkedIn and Google+. Next week on Freemasons The Inside Story, a very special Anzac Day episode. See you then.